Today, we're diving into the highly anticipated showdown, Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. Who's ahead in the polls? As the 2024 U.S. presidential election approaches, both candidates are making headlines and capturing the nation's attention. Donald Trump, the former president, and Kamala Harris, the current vice president, represent two very different visions for America's future. We'll take a closer look at the latest polling data, key battleground states, and the factors influencing voter sentiment. Today, we will talk about Donald Trump v. Kamala Harris, who's ahead in the polls. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel. With the 2024 election just around the corner, Americans are anxiously watching the polls. But here's the twist. While everyone assumes it's a battle between two major names, the race is much closer than you'd think. Could Donald Trump really be pulling ahead of Kamala Harris? Or does Harris have an ace up her sleeve that could shift the outcome? Trump's resurgence in polls. Donald Trump, despite the controversies surrounding his presidency and post-presidency, remains a dominant figure within the Republican Party. Polling data has consistently shown that Trump's base is still incredibly loyal, with many seeing him as the only candidate capable of standing up to the Democratic Party's policies. While initially, some may have thought his influence would fade after his 2020 loss, recent polls suggest otherwise. Among Republican voters, Trump's approval rating continues to hover in high numbers, and he's consistently the top pick in early primary polling for the GOP nomination. This resilience comes from his ability to stay relevant through rallies, media appearances, and his aggressive stance on issues like immigration, the economy, and foreign policy. Kamala Harris, the emerging force. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has her own strengths. Although she's faced criticism and lower than expected approval ratings during her tenure as vice president, Harris still stands as a key player in the Democratic Party. Her background as a former prosecutor and senator has given her a platform to address critical issues such as justice reform, climate change, and women's rights, which resonate strongly with progressive voters. The polls show a different picture for Harris. While her approval ratings fluctuate, her appeal to a diverse voting base, especially minority groups and younger voters, could play a critical role in the upcoming election. Pollsters have noted that Harris's biggest asset may lie in her ability to galvanize the Democratic base in a way that few other candidates can, possibly propelling her past Trump. Electoral battleground states. Now let's talk about the battleground states, the key states that will determine the 2024 election. States like Florida, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona are critical to either candidate's path to the White House. Recent polls indicate that Trump still enjoys strong support in many of these states, where issues like the economy and border security are often deciding factors for voters. However, Harris is also competitive in these states, especially as the Biden administration's policies on infrastructure, healthcare, and climate change start to take effect. In states like Arizona and Georgia, where demographic changes are shifting the electorate in favor of Democrats, Harris could see an advantage. Key issues impacting the polls. Several key issues are shaping how voters view Trump and Harris. The economy is arguably the most important, with inflation, job creation, and housing affordability at the forefront of many Americans' minds. Trump is positioning himself as the candidate who can restore economic growth, pointing to the pre-pandemic economy during his administration as proof. On the other hand, Harris is focusing on long-term economic reforms, including building a more sustainable economy through green energy investments and social policies aimed at reducing inequality. While these issues resonate with her base, the question remains whether they will be enough to sway undecided voters. Polling analysis. If we look at the national polling averages, Trump has consistently maintained a slight lead over Harris, though it's far from a guaranteed win. Harris, meanwhile, has been slowly narrowing the gap, especially among independent voters and key demographic groups. The polls also show that both candidates have similar levels of unfavorability, meaning that for many voters, the decision might come down to who they dislike less. Swing voters and suburban voters will play a decisive role in determining the outcome. Harris is making efforts to appeal to these voters through policies that address healthcare and economic equality, while Trump is doubling down on his America First platform that resonates with his base. The role of media in campaigning. Media coverage plays a significant role in shaping public opinion, and both Trump and Harris are keenly aware of this. Trump, of course, is no stranger to using social media and rallies to energize his base and shift the narrative in his favor. Even though he's been banned from certain platforms, his influence on conservative media remains strong, and he's found new ways to reach his supporters. Harris, meanwhile, is focusing on a different approach, emphasizing grassroots campaigning and utilizing social media platforms to reach younger voters and historically marginalized communities. The media portrayal of both candidates will be pivotal in the coming months, as each tries to control the narrative and present themselves as the most capable leader. Public sentiment and momentum. The polls are not just about numbers. They reflect the mood of the country. Many Americans are feeling uncertain about the future, with concerns ranging from the economy to climate change to the state of democracy itself. Trump's messaging focuses on restoring America's greatness, while Harris frames herself as the candidate who can lead the nation into a more equitable future. Momentum is also critical. While Trump's rallies and media appearances keep him at the forefront of the news cycle, Harris has the advantage of incumbency and could benefit from any late-game successes by the Biden administration. Both candidates will need to work hard to maintain and build upon their current momentum as Election Day approaches. In the end, this election could come down to the wire. The polls show a tight race between Trump and Harris, and both have their strengths and weaknesses. Trump's solid base of support and his populist messaging have kept him relevant, while Harris's appeal to younger and more diverse voters could be the key to her success. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.